Oftentimes, you know, we are bombarded by past memories from past traumas, and we start to have these intrusive thoughts, and these dreams or nightmares might resurface, and it has the tendency to pull you back into that low energy, you know, back in those old days. And I noticed that happens in some cases. Like, the more you elevate, I mean, yeah, it becomes more manageable for you to stay, you know, solid. But like, the more you continue on, you notice that the attacks start to happen. You know, you start to have those intrusive thoughts, and whether or not this is a psychological thing, you know, because of having trauma, or it could also be spiritual attacks from the way that people think of you. You can feel it. You can feel the way that others may think of you, just like the evil eye. Or it could be somebody trying to put spells on you, you know, because of jealousy, envy. There's people with malicious intent. When they see your light, they want to eradicate it. So, you know, you're pretty much on high alert for the most part, and it could be sometimes it could be hard to manage, because now you don't know who's who anymore, right? Especially when you've been betrayed by people that love you, that you thought loved you. You know, you have to think again, especially with the heartbreaks and all these things. So a lot of the stuff that I talk about, is most of it is really like, it's inspired by past events. So currently, I have more peace now. Every now and then I'll encounter spiritual attacks, you know. I'll have, you know, but the thing is that I see a huge contrast between today and 10 to 12 years ago. And I can clearly see, like, the gang stalking that has happened from back in the day, and how I basically, in a way, it's like, I still have to really meditate and think about this, because I noticed that there's a huge change in energy. It's almost like the more you increase your vibration, it's almost like you own the room. It's like you have the ability, your presence has the ability to shift the energy everywhere you go. So it's like they're not taking your energy where you go. Instead, you know, your presence demands the energy, or I wouldn't say demands it, because you have your own energy, so you don't need them, right? And you know, the gang stalkers, they don't have no energy. You know, they don't have shit. But once you realize your power, they can't do nothing to you, basically. They can't even get to you in any way. In this video, I wanted to talk about, well, before I get into it, I really just want to emphasize that sometimes the past can resurface into your mind by way of intrusive thoughts, by way of PTSD dreams. And then I get inspired to talk about it, because now I have to, in a way, it's like a way of processing this stuff. And the more we process our trauma, the better we can continue to move on. Because what I'm doing is I'm shifting the energy, right? So I'm shifting the negative energy from the past and turning it into something completely different. It's almost like, and I've heard people say this, it's like rewriting the script, right? Look at it like this. You know, when you write, you know, when you're writing something, let's say you're writing a story or something, or whatever it is, a song, and you have your draft, your first draft, right? Your first draft is like the past, you know. Okay, this is what you wrote back in the day, and then give it a few months, and then you revisit that draft, and you're like, you know, let me edit, let me make some changes here and there, and it becomes better, right? Well, look at it like that. It's like when the past resurfaces into your mind, and it can disturb you, and sometimes it can anger you. You might feel some type of way, but here's the thing. We can't control the PTSD symptoms of, like, when stuff pops up, right, from the past, and it triggers you. Sometimes you get triggered by stuff. And I know, because I'm like that. That's why I'm defensive at times. And I'm trying to work on that, because sometimes I look crazy when I get defensive. It's like, what's wrong with her, you know? But that's the whole point of rewriting things. And going back to that analogy, when you go back and you revisit the first draft, you're like, let me make some edits. You start proofreading, you know, you read, and then you realize that you might end up looking at the way that you used to look at things is different now, because you're like, why did I write that? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? You start making changes. Now it's not that, and you're not necessarily like changing history per se. What you're doing is you are you are basically adding, a lot of times you might articulate it differently now, right? But now you might add some other details that will clearly show that you are a changed person, that you have evolved, that you have learned more since the last time you made that draft. And that's basically what I'm explaining here. So in a way, because the thing is, we cannot erase the past. We can't forget about what has happened to us. And so we revisit certain topics, not because I am still upset about it, but because I'm trying to eradicate the negative energy from it so that it doesn't take over my emotions, so that it doesn't take over my mind and prevent me from doing what I need to do and just overall just grow. Because sometimes we get consumed by the past and then we are stuck there. See, that's the thing. I look at that as a form of a spiritual attack in a way. When the devil sends you a nightmare or some type of dream that lowers your energy, in a way, it takes you back to like old habits, toxic traits resurface. And then you start to think, wait a minute, now I feel like I'm back in 2009 or whatever year it is for you, if whatever the case is. It takes us back to when we had those bad habits, when we weren't, it's almost like the devil's trying to knock us out of that position that we're in now, because we're in a higher place now. And see, the devil can't really, he could try to attack us, but he can't really do too much. So he has to pretty much tear us down a little bit. And that comes with the so-called, they call it PTSD symptoms, right? When you have these dreams, nightmares, and intrusive thoughts, triggers. Sometimes when you're in the waking world, you might encounter triggers. You find somebody that reminds you of the person that hurt you, or maybe you see something, an event that triggered something from you, or maybe somebody said something and you took it personally. And sometimes I have to take this advice myself, especially when it comes to taking things personally, because I have the tendency to do that, because and some of you guys can relate, where you feel like a person is playing in your face. And in some cases they could be, right? There's the possibility they could be, because people are assholes. But in some cases they might not even be. A lot of times our heightened senses, it can work for us, but it can also work against us. So that's another thing I keep in mind, because we pick up on energy. That's true. But sometimes we have to know, like, is this their energy or is it my energy? Because sometimes it could be my own energy deceiving me, right? It could be me taking something personally that has nothing to do with me, and I have caught myself in that moment. That's why I'm talking about it right now. Basically, it's like creating spiritual medicine in a way, trying to really shift my perspective so that I don't allow the pain of the past to drown me. And that's basically the whole point of this, so. Now, what I really wanted to get into, and the next thing is, and it ties in together, is the fact that, you're going to encounter people that might be intimidated by your presence, because, if the gang stalkers are intimidated, I suppose that's a good thing, right? Because we want them to be intimidated, because now they see that you're unbreakable, right? And we want to get to that point where we're using what they use against us, against them. And that's the thing, and understanding the power of our energy, and how to, in a way, it's like, not only can we cultivate our own energy, but you see how these gang stalkers, they try to take our energy, right? But you gotta think about it. You might feel like, man, they're attacking me and stuff. But you gotta think about, where did they get this energy to attack you with? Where did they get it from? They got it from you. In order for them to attack you with this energy, first they would have to steal the energy of others. It's kind of like a mosquito. You ever look at a mosquito? Mosquitoes have blood inside them, because in order for them to have that, they would have to suck the blood, other people's blood, basically. And it's very disgusting. Oh my God! Every time you look at a mosquito bite, I can never look at it the same, because it's like this thing carries other people's blood. And yeah. But anyway, that's the reason why certain mosquitoes can cause diseases and stuff like that. And yeah, it's pretty nasty, but you get the picture. These gang stalkers, they're parasites. right? So they have to feed off of other people, including your energy. So in order for them to have the energy to attack you, they have to take someone else's energy and use that against you, you know? And that's what they're doing. So how do we do this? Well, we would have to starve them, right? We would have to starve them by understanding the power of our energy, and by not giving them what they want from us, which is that reaction, feeling like you're going crazy and stuff. And I understand that it's easier said than done in the beginning, but the more you learn about how cowardly and pathetic these gang stalkers really are, you start to really understand this. And especially when you see the tactics, when you really start to see it, you see it more clearly. The more that you are spiritually awakened, the more your vision becomes clearer, and you start to really master certain things, man. And you're going to see it, is what I'm saying. Because I remember there was a time where I couldn't see this. There was a time where I was like thinking that there was really something wrong with me. There was a time where I was kind of paranoid, and when you don't know what's happening, that's when you feel like there is something wrong with you. You start to believe in the lies. When you have these thoughts coming out of nowhere and it doesn't sound like your own thoughts, it's almost like these people are interfering with you in many different ways. They have things where they can get in your head like that, And for as long as I could remember, I remember having that weird stuff happening when I was a kid, really. When I was a kid, I would pray, and it would happen a lot. I remember when I would pray to God, and I had to pray out loud, because whenever I tried to pray in my head, that's when they start attacking me with some craziness, right? Some stuff that I'm not thinking about, obviously, but they're trying to disrupt the prayer by sending you some weird, wicked shit in your head. And obviously, that's not your thought, especially if you're a kid. So that's how they do it. They try to disrupt your prayer, disrupt your thinking process in general, especially when it has something to do with something high vibrational, or you trying to get to that point. But see, that's why for some of us, they try to get us when we're young, because they know that it's easy to reshape and influence a young mind, so the older we get, we start to see this stuff. So it's a blessing to be awakened. It really is, especially when you wake up early on, which people in my generation, we pretty much are waking up pretty quickly, because this type of information is actually being put out there now. So that's a blessing right there. There's people sharing their stories, but yeah, it's a blessing now, because now you're seeing people waking up, and you create this network where you're not alone. Because the isolation, that's gonna hurt you a lot, because you don't know who to talk to about this. You know what you saw, but if you tell other people about it, they're gonna think you're out of your mind, just like if I was to. And that's why, for a lot of us, we kept a lot of stuff to ourselves. Just like myself, I don't talk too much about gang stalking, because I would have to go back to the past and remember the weird stuff that I've seen and stuff. But the most recent one was pretty crazy, because it included property damage. So I'll make another video about that specific. But you're going to see how pathetic the gang stalkers are, and like I said, when you constantly evolve, and like when you your energy starts to increase, like when you really start to, you're going to feel it, you're going to feel it. It's almost like wherever you walk, you have this, I don't know, man, you have a very strong presence. And when you start to have that, the gang stalkers, they're going to try to attack you, but they're going to like I said, in order for them to attack you, they have to steal your energy first. And they literally take pieces of your energy and throw it back at you. All right. So when you go through that, guess what? So if they're going to throw that energy back at you, that means that, now you have to catch it. You know what I mean? Like you have to, it goes back to that saying when people say, if they throw bricks at me, use it to build use it to build a castle, right? You know how they say that? They throwing bricks at you, right? They're hurting you, but you use those same bricks to build something. And that's basically that's the type of logic we're going by, right? So because they have to take from you, so it's like, so this is your energy that they're trying to use, and sometimes it could be the energy of others if they want to move like a mosquito and take everyone's energy and try to attack whoever. But you got to understand that they would not be able to attack you had it not been for the energy of others that they harvested. So without, without other people's energy, these individuals, they will wither away. So there has to be a way to cut off their ability to dig into our energy and use it against us. And that comes from practicing stoicism, right? Having that stone cold face, having that not giving them the reaction that they want, because they want you to fall into whatever program that they want for you, so that it can make you look like you're the craziest person out there. And when you give in to the lies and the suggestions they throw in your head, because and I think it really helps when your experiences are validated. Like, yeah, this is a real thing. Like, this people get in your head. Like, when people say they get in your head, it's literal. Like, they can actually send suggestions to your head, or on a spiritual level, it's also demonic attacks. It's spiritual attacks that they send, and it comes into your head. And that's a real thing. And people don't get it. Like, if I was to tell anyone this stuff, and obviously, what they would think of me. And that's why I don't talk too much about gang stalking, because I know how it makes a person look. But I still plan on sharing some of the stuff that I know, but I like to do it in increments, because I like to talk about other things as well that can help with increasing our energy and becoming more aware spiritually, and among other things too, like just spiritual growth and self-improvement. But other than that, I mean, it's just, there's a lot to it, and it's something that could be easily misunderstood too. That's another thing, and I was always waiting for the right time to really share it, so there's that. Now, here's another thing, and it's going to tie into everything I said, and it's this right here. You're going to encounter people that are intimidated by your strength. And they don't necessarily have to be gang stalkers. This just could be anyone, okay? Now, of course, if it's a gang stalker, then that's a good thing. We want them to be intimidated, because now they're going to think twice before even trying to, grab a piece of your energy just to throw it back at you. You want to get to a level where the gang stalkers, at this point, they fear you, right? But we know what people do when they fear you. They still try to destroy you. So they're going to continue to attack. But the difference is that you're not letting it have power over you. Right? So there's a lot of, and like I said, I'm still learning how to really explain, how to really dismantle the way that they try to make you feel and stuff like that. You and I. Now, me, I'm in a position where I really could give a fuck what they're doing, what they're trying to do, what they're saying, because I know exactly what it is at this point, but I try to put myself in that, try to remember like things that happened before, and how did I react to it, and how do I handle it now. And one of the biggest things that I notice is that it's the spiritual knowledge and wisdom that you develop that's really going to help you, right? As well as having genuine connections with people that, really understand this stuff, obviously. So you can't really, the people that are supposed to help you, they're just going to say you're crazy, which is the crazy part, right? Because that's not very helpful. This is a real thing. So enough of that, people saying you're crazy. No, they can think that you are. But for some of us out there that, we've done the search and, with everything put together, we come to find out that there has been some weird shit happening that they clearly try to keep under the rug, because the only way that the system can make money is by driving their population crazy. Not everyone in the population, but enough to where they can make a profit off of it by Medications, that's a big one, right? If you could drive people crazy, there's that. And then, of course, the medications come with side effects. So now you have medical issues. And then, or you might go off and go to jail. You know, you go off because you've had enough of that. They've been torturing you psychologically for the longest. So obviously you're going to lash out eventually, especially if you don't know what's been done to you, you know, and people continue to gaslight you. And a lot of times they're gaslighting you because they don't know what the hell's going on. So they're seeing you going crazy. In their minds, they see you losing it. And so to them, it's like, man, this person's losing it. But in reality, they don't know what it was that happened to you that caused you to lose it. And so, of course, they're going to look at you like someone that has lost their mind. And then you go off and then you just, you know, you start to do some stuff. And you've heard cases of a lot of things happening, a lot of strange things happening to especially spiritually gifted people that never awaken to the fact that they are gifted. And that's why the Diablo try to get you before you realize that, you know, because, and again, they make money off of these so-called meds, so-called mental health and medical, and also the prison system. There's a lot of money in that. So that's all it is. It's all about that, you know, and a lot of us are aware of that. A lot of us are really aware of these things, you know, so it's good to see that we are seeing it for what it is. And now that you know, keep learning and don't, really protect your energy, because that's a big thing. If you could protect your energy and you see the tactics before your very eyes, they can't take your energy anymore. You know, the more you know, the less power they have, right? So there you go. And that's how we move. So they can't attack you when you don't give them your energy. You give them your energy when you give them the reaction that they want, and when you start to self-destruct, you know. But once you see it for what it is, you guard that energy with your life, and now they can't take it no more. And even if they try, or if they take someone's energy and try to throw it at you, you're gonna, and all it's gonna do is it's gonna cause it causes your energy field to increase, right? So now your energy field is getting bigger and bigger the more they try to throw whatever it is at you, because you've mastered emotional alchemy, right? So now you know. And when they see that, when these people notice that the more they throw at you, the more powerful you become. For one, they're going to be the ones losing their shit now. Now they're the ones freaking out. They're the ones going crazy. And yeah, so they're like, who the hell is this person? Why can't I destroy them? This is a different kind of breed. This is a different kind of person. You know, they're not used to that. They're not used to that. So now it actually ends up reversing on them. And when they see that the more they attack you, the more powerful you become, because you've really mastered this thing to the T, they're going to eventually stop, because they're going to realize that the more they attack you, the more those attacks goes back on their ass. And they can't have that, because they can't take it. They can't take it like you were able to take it, but you get to a point where you ain't taking it either. You just found a way to transform that energy by protecting it, guarding it, and also by using it as fuel to empower you. And that comes with mastering who you are, knowing who you are. And when you come with that, when you get to that level, you're going to become extremely intimidating, especially for the gang stalkers, the narcissistic handlers, the abusers, all of these people. They are going to be so intimidated by you. They're going to look at you like they're going to look at you like you're a superhuman at that point. You know, they wanted to break you down. They wanted to, you know, because they knew it was something about you that's different. But the one thing they never wanted was for you to wake up to your true power, and for you to start having this superhuman-like presence and power. You gotta look at it like this. Why did they target you in the beginning? Because they knew you had the potential to have those qualities. They were intimidated by you already, but you didn't realize it yet. And once you realize it and you see it and you know how to really control your own energy, and when you master knowing yourself, then it's over for them. Because now when you become powerful like that, you're literally reminding them why they targeted you in the first place. It wasn't because you were weak. You were just not awakened yet. Once you wake up and you start to really, evolve like that, and you start to have that spiritual sight, they realize they can't play with you no more. Playing with you becomes dangerous to their life. Trust me, it is. Playing with you becomes dangerous to their life. And you, because you literally became the very thing that they feared that you will become, which is damn near superhuman. And they knew that. That's why they have communities of people trying to make your life a living hell. It's a reason for that. It's a reason that throughout your whole life, from the very beginning, you've had people trying to, traumatizing you, abusing you, targeting you in every different areas of your life. But once you awaken, and once you really get to this point where your vibration is so high that, it scares the shit out of them. You become increasingly intimidating to them, because you have become what they feared you would become. They knew it was something about you, and you became that powerful being. And yeah, now they know not to fuck with you, basically, because they know that fucking with you is going to destroy them. Literally, they will have a slow unaliving, and I'm not even joking. And I'll make another video talking about one individual in particular who was a gangster. I'm gonna make another video about that. But and this is another thing too I want to say, is that you're gonna intimidate them, and not only that, but they don't understand. Here's the thing. You had no choice but to be strong, right? You had no choice but to be strong. Otherwise, you wouldn't be alive. So for all the people that want to destroy you, want to bring you down, want to dim your light, they do that because they're afraid of you. They're they fear the fuck out of you, right? But not realizing how much strength you needed to survive. You were forced to be strong. It's not even a choice at this point. You had to be this way. And if they don't like it, that's fine. We don't care about what they like. Because what they like, what your abusers and gang stalkers like, is for them to be able to have the upper hand on you, to be able to have all this control over your life until it's non-existent. That's what they want. So let them be intimidated. Let them feel some type of way, because now you awaken to who you are, and you're not taking shit from no one.